this could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.
What's up, guys? Today we're going to go over the dungeon Forgotten Temple B3F. So this dungeon can drop rare items such as the ruin and the boss ring. It also will drop some other unique items as well, like bikes. But yes, this dungeon, the minimum required combat level would be almost 1.2 million. But I've seen parties of like 900k going in. So this first boss, there's a DPS check that you need to break in order to move forward. Otherwise, it's going to regenerate its health back to full. The DPS check usually happens right off the bat, if I remember correctly. So you want to kill this boss as fast as possible to get that DPS check. So once you clear that boss, you're gonna have to break this gate. It's gonna spawn some mobs here you're gonna have to clear, and it'll spawn another boss that will do HP drain on you. I believe the drain happens like at 75 or so health, or 50 actually, or HP down. So if you're a lower combat level character, you want to have some shield or some sort of utility buff that can help sustain you in battle there. So once you defeat that boss, you're going to go through this little tunnel that has some mobs. Break the gate to open the next room with the next boss. This boss is pretty straightforward, you just have to defeat it. Once you open the chest, you're going to go through the next section. So this section here coming up, there's two mobs that you need to break or defeat in order to spawn one of the bosses to move forward. So the mobs is going to be that one. I believe it's pronounced Freaky. So you defeat that one. There's going to be another version of that monster in a different room over here in the third room. So you're going to go over there and defeat that same monster. So once you defeat two monsters in the middle room there, it's going to spawn a boss that you're going to have to defeat. So once you defeat that mini boss there, this boss will appear. So this boss has silence that will trigger, I forget how many attacks, but it triggers a silenced attack that could land on you and will silence you. Once this boss is defeated, you're going to move into the next area. In these next two rooms, you're going to have to defeat a mob or a monster. I believe the first one is Phoebe J, or yeah, Phoebe J. And the next one will be FT3 is the next version. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the names right, but that's how I kind of see it. As you can see right at the top there, FT3. Once you defeat those two, the gate will allow you to move forward into the next area, which will be one of the main bosses in this dungeon. So this boss here does a spike attack that's pretty powerful if you're lower combat power. You want to use your shield or your block buffs to deflect that spike, because it is pretty powerful if you're lower combat. So there, the spike happened. I believe that's triggered at 50%, but I'm not 100% sure. So once you defeat this boss, you're gonna have to go through the next section, which can get a little tricky if you don't have any utility buffs, such as shields or some sort of protection on your health, because you're gonna have to go through this tunnel of lightning that will kill you if you don't have those buffs. This next session, usually a blader or a force archer can breeze through it pretty easily. Other classes do have buffs that will help go past this section, but usually the force archer or the blader is the best class to do this section. Once you get there, you're gonna have to spawn a quest that will trigger you to defeat a mob to open the gate to the next section. Once you get here, you're gonna have to trigger the quest to spawn the boss. This boss does do knockdowns, so if you have low resist on that, you might get knocked down quite a bit. After defeating this boss, you're gonna have to move into the final room where the last boss will spawn. It has two forms that you'll have to defeat. The first form here is pretty straightforward. It has a spike, but it's not too difficult if your power level is above 1 million. But lower, you want to have some sort of shield or buff that will help with the spike. Again, I believe that the spike here happens at 50% if I'm not mistaken again. Alright, so once you defeat the first form, the second form will spawn, and this is the last version of the last boss here that you'll have to defeat to defeat the dungeon. So this last form here, the last boss, he does a spike every 5 attacks that you want to either prepare for or use your utility buffs for. And then again, at 50%, it's going to do a spike that can suppress you, which you want to avoid. Forgot to mention, having vamp accessories do help in dungeons. If you don't have some, I do recommend it, because it will help you with regenerating your health if you don't have any. It's a little trickier because you'll have to spam your health pots. Alright, so once you defeat the boss, that's basically it for this dungeon. I hope you enjoyed it, and good luck!